Oh no, no. Hopefully it wasn't the other way around. Kids, man, you got kids just running rampant right now. You know what I'm saying?
Fire away, guys.
How do you expect to have the same starting offensive line against Kansas City they had against Miami?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens as we go through the week. You know, there's always moving pieces with who's healthy as we keep going through practice and who's not. But I thought Titus did a heck of a job in what was a tough situation last week, asking him to bump inside. And really, I thought he played a heck of a game on the inside. He had, you know, one or two things here or there that's just a little different when you go from tackle to guard, how fast it is on the inside, how quick things happen. But he adjusted, I want to say, within like 6 snaps, and he was rolling. He played really well, which was really cool to see, and credit to him.
Into thinking of that move, and why not make that move a little bit earlier as opposed to like then?
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of moving pieces all the time, you know, and we got guys that, you know, are kind of in flux up and down, and at the end of the day, our goal is to put the best 5 out there in every given week. You know, that what that is, or how we feel that might be different. I mean, going from, I mean, he was playing good at tackle, going from tackle to guard. That's a massive jump, you know, and he was willing to do it, which was, you know, again, like I can't say enough about how much credit I give Titus for being willing to go from right tackle to left guard. Like, not only are you sliding in, you're switching sides. Like, that's a massive move. And for him to be able to do that and play the way he did was awesome.
One game, hit some tough sledding. You guys didn't run it a lot, or a lot of yards against Miami. With Joe, do you guys think you can get it going again? It's the Chiefs, which have a good defense in the front.
Yeah, what you'll learn in the run game really always is you're always just like one game away, one play away. You know, in the run game, one explosive creates a big difference, and we didn't get that obviously in this last game. You know, we went into the game with the plan to throw the ball more than run it. We were trying to throw it to open up the run game, and we never were able to stay on the field long enough to really get the run game going. You know, which made it hard when we were doing it. We had opportunities out there in really both phases that we just didn't make the plays on, but it was cool to see everybody just do enough to win the game, which is what this time of year is about.
Bobby, can you kind of talk about how do you contain Chris Jones? D'Amico brought up yesterday that they have to know where 95 is on the field at all times. So how do you make sure that you limit his effectiveness?
Well, a lot of people have tried a lot of different things, you know, which is, I mean, now you got not just this season, but really all of last season on tape to see different approaches people have taken. And like, honestly, none of them have worked. Like, he's that good. And it would be the same for us. Like, at the end of the day, for us, we got some schematic things we're going to try to do to help us out and make sure we're aware of where 95 is all the time, and we're taking care of 95 all the time. But even then, you know, eventually they do a great job moving them around, putting them in different spots. He lines like all over the front. Sometimes not even at the line of scrimmage, you know, like he's everywhere. And if they find a way to isolate a one-on-one, then eventually they're going to isolate a one-on-one, whether it's the run or the pass game. So for us, at the end of the day, it's just how much are we going to strain and how much are we going to finish, which is going to be the message all the way through the rest of the season.
How different is how the Chiefs kind of do their pre-safety, post-safety movement compared to other teams in the league, and how much of a challenge can it present for an offense?
Yeah, I think it's really like team and scheme dependent. You know, Spags, you could tell, puts a lot of time into disguise and pre and post snap movement and how they want to handle that, how they want to help confuse the quarterback and mix it up with some of the pressures they have, with some of the coverages they have. I think they're really tied together and in tune with what they're doing. That's one thing that jumps out when you watch them. They're a darn good defense. They're also like extremely well coached. They don't give freebies. You know, they're on their technique, they're on their responsibility, and that includes in what they do shell wise, how they disguise things. They can show middle field close, rock and roll all the way and invert it and go middle field close. They can play 2 shells out. They got everything, which is great for us. It's a great challenge. It's great preparation as we keep going through the rest of the season. There's other teams we played where what you see is what you get. And we've kind of had both sides, so it's just another rep for us to go and try to attack.
What is the value of a bye week for a coach? Like, as far as just getting an overall evaluation and feel of the offense, is there any like extra time that goes into maybe figuring out when the offense is struggling? What was the value of the bye week for you?
Yeah, I think I kind of hit it last week. Like most of it was deep diving into us. It started as some other stuff with some opponents, but really what it became was a deep dive into us and honing in on what we're good at and what we need to continue to do every week. Which I think we had a lot of confidence built over the bye week and leading into this last week in what we wanted to do and how we wanted to attack. And I mean, the plays were out there for us, and we didn't quite make them. A lot of the times as we were trying to stay on the field. And I don't know what that is. Was it rust? Was it? I'm not sure. But I know if we continue to do that, like these are things we've proven that we've done really well, and we're all really confident. Like if we keep getting ops, we're going to make those plays and at the end of the day make more than we miss. So that really is what the bye week was for us. It was, hey, what do we do really well? How do we hone in on this and just continue to execute those things?
What would you say y'all do really well?
Well, I can't give all the secrets, but I would say explosives would be the number one thing. If you keep it fairly generic, our quarterback's really good at throwing explosives. We got really good skills. We got a really good running back. We got a great tight end. We got guys that can stretch the field if they need to, and also can catch the ball underneath and run for it. So I think, like, if you take out last week, which I don't know if we had an explosive, maybe we had one. And yet we still are ranked like 6th in the NFL going into last week. We were somewhere in the top 3, and we've been there pretty much the entirety of the last year and a half. So that would probably be the number one thing that jumps out is, at any time, if we get what we want, that the players can just make explosive, fun plays happen.
Explosive, looking at what Tank did on punt return last week against Miami, does it kind of increase the thought of trying to get the ball in his hands other ways even more, increased amount on offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to see when you got someone with the ball in their hand making plays. I would say before he even had a punt return happen, I think we gave him a jet sweep pretty early in the game, and he made 3-4 guys miss. And I said I don't know if we had an explosive. I think that actually was our only explosive of the entire day, was that run on the jet sweep, which was almost all him making a play. So I think anytime you see someone doing that with the ball in their hands, you could tell that kind of gets your juices flowing, gets them going into the game, and it's exciting going forward.
Bobby, you alluded to Titus moving inside. With Blake does that shorten your playbook, or does it give you a little bit more options? Are you restricted in any way because Blake has to move to the outside there, or are you feeling pretty comfortable being able to just open up the whole playbook?
Yeah, I'd say it's the same with or without him there at this point in the year. Probably would feel differently with a rookie early on in the season, what they can handle and the defenses you're going against, especially this defense, like they present a lot. I mean, they're really good, one of the best defenses we played. So you really have to be on your responsibility, your eyes, and handling all the pressures and protections and where we're IDing in the run game. But at this point in the season, this late, we all really should be to the point where we can handle that. And Blake's shown that he's done a really good job in that area.
Last one, sir.
Bobby, taking on the other side of the ball, you get a chance to watch Derek in practice, Derek Stingley Jr., you get a chance to watch him. He was honored as the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. You also, have a defensive background as well. What do you see when you watch him and playing against him as far as practice is concerned?
Yeah, he's a vacuum. And, I mean, the ball's in his radius, he's catching it. Like I kind of mess with D'Amico and Sting and ask him, like, can we throw posts? Like, can we get him for a play and throw him out there? Because his ball skills are that good. Like, in hindsight, I think we all kind of knew it was going to be a very competitive training camp this last offseason, but then you think back on it and how both of them are playing. Like when Nico and Sting were aligned across from each other in training camp, I mean, that was a battle. And I would say both of them had some haymakers in there in training camp, and I think that's carried over into the season. And as they've continued to get their legs under them and get going, like Nico's made some really, really huge plays for us. He's consistently gotten open. Stingley has been, massive. I can't even tell you that, like, every time I look up, I feel like he's making a play on a big-time receiver. And I think that goes back to what D'Amico always says, iron sharpening iron, and the rapport that, they built within the locker room, and how much Sting just kind of inspires. I don't even know defense, just offensively, what he does for us. Anytime he makes a play, the juice we take the field with, it's been really cool to see. And, that's even just outside of the fact that he's got phenomenal cover skills, but the ball skills he's shown this year are, every time the ball goes up and 24's around, we're all already they're grabbing their helmets. I'm looking at my call sheet and getting ready to roll. Like it's just been really fun to see. Thanks, everybody.
Wow. No. Did he lose privileges? Or we? No. Oh, see, you probably did too. You're out. Sarge, back up. Let's go, Sarge. All right. Well, you got to earn your way back. Let's go, Sarge.
Hey, Matt, the NFL honored Derek Stingley Jr. the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Watching him play in that game in Miami, against Miami, like, is it just something that you've become accustomed to seeing him do?
No, I never take for granted everything these guys do, and it's been cool to see Sting, like, always special talent, and but just to see the level of play kind of start to really rise up to that and match up consistently, play in, play out, like he's becoming a very, very special player for us, and obviously I think like an elite level corner in this league. So, but I never take any of that for granted, man. I'm in awe of everything these guys do here, so I don't take what he does for granted. It makes it look easy, but it's not.
How much of that does Kamari soak up watching Derek play?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think all those guys. I think I'm sure we're going to end up talking about Will and Daniil and all the kind of matchups in the room, or like the partnerships in the rooms. Like, I think those guys start to feed off each other and see how they play and the challenges and all those things. So I think Kamari, seeing Sting really elevate his game to where it's become, and Kamari wanting to get to that level too. I think there's always that sort of back and forth for sure.
How much is Stingley's ball skills remind you of Xavier Howard's ball skills?
Honestly, pretty similar. Very, very similar. Like X was, it's just all those plays. I feel like it's like Sting's like trademark signature, that sort of over the top catch he makes. And like, actually, we played New England. I'm gonna say 17 in Miami, when I was in Miami, and X had a couple of similar like that, like Cook's heading over the top and he just tracked over the top and like makes those plays. So there's a lot of the elements I see for sure, similarities.
You guys, not redid. I've asked you some version of this question before, but
It's okay. I'm used to you guys being offended.
not redid the defensive line, but you all brought in a lot of different pieces, and you all had trust in Daniil Hunter that he could be there. But what was the vision you saw for the defensive line when this offseason, when you all were trying to kind of remake it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, the D-line is the start of this front, or this defense, and how we play up front. And I think number one, and I think part of this conversation, like the depth, and so bringing multiple people in that we felt comfortable being able to play our style, and finding guys, like Mario and Tim Settle and Foley, some of those guys the inside, and I think that was the first thing, and I'm appreciative again of, like, obviously having D'Amico be a defensive guy, and Nick and his staff. Like, just that's a commitment, you know what I mean? Like, this, to put a lot of resources into that room, and to commit to, not a lot of teams play 8-9 guys like we play, you know what I mean, up front. So that's a I don't say it's a burden, but it's a factor in how you're building the rest of your roster. So, like, to be appreciative of an organization that's committed to doing that, and to understand the vision of how we want to play. And we need, again, we want to play fast and aggressive and penetration the way we play. Like, you can't do that if you're playing for the same 4 guys the whole game. So to me, it started with just building depth there and bringing in pieces that we felt could play the style and contribute. And so then it's evaluation of looking for the guys that you feel can do that, can elevate their game in our system. It's just looking for, again, just the athletic traits or the play style that translates, that you think, we felt that there were guys that we brought in that would have a jump in production and have a jump in sort of their level of play based on our front.
Special challenges. I think Patrick Holmes with the off-script things he does, and what do you see from some of the personnel he throws to, including Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, I mean, he's the best. He's the best in the business in a lot of categories, but I think he's difficult. We've played a lot of mobile quarterbacks and guys that escape and make off schedule plays. I think he's probably the least predictable of where he's going with it, or where he's getting out. Like, some guys, kind of where their favorite to escape to, or like the flush, or they don't want to go away from the thrown hand, or they want to step up, or he'll do it all. And he steps up, then drops back, then spins and goes and gets out. So that's the first piece. Is I think he's a lot more unpredictable in where he's escaping to, and how you're trying to corral him. And then just starts with Kelsey, the connection those guys have. I mean, Kelsey's unbelievable, like sitting down in zones, getting open, understanding leverage, like, and then the connection those guys have are just, you can see it sometimes. It's not even, they don't even have to look at each other. He just knows, I know he's going to break this way. I'm going to put the ball out there. So, whenever you're playing, a team like this or an offense like this and that has those capabilities, like, it's a two-headed monster. Like, our front's got to be good and try to corral them and rush them and keep them where we want to keep them. And then, our back end has to plaster and understand, like, you're in zone coverage. Like, they're not just going to run to you in your zone. They're going to sit down. They're going to move. They're going to break off your leverage, all those things. So, it's going to be a full team effort to try to stop this.
When you were in Arizona, they just traded for Hollywood Brown that year. What do you remember about him? And since he's trying to work his way back, what makes him so dangerous, even if he's at, say, 50% or 60% of this game?
I hope he's at 20%. It's just obviously the speed. It's another speed element, and they brought Worthy in, who obviously has some speed as well. So now you're at another guy that can stretch the field. I mean, Hollywood, that's been his calling card for a long time. So, I think if he plays, like, it's just another sort of top end guy that we have to account for.
Bringing up, Mahomes being unpredictable and the connection that he has with Kelsey. Now having a uber athletic linebacker like Christian Harris back, does that help? Being defending those over the middle kind of connection that you have with Mahomes and Kelsey.
Sure. Yeah, like, obviously, whenever you have more speed on the field and more explosive athletes and playmakers, it helps close some of those windows or go match up people, right, or get sticky or pull the quarterback up, however you kind of utilize all those pieces. So, for sure, like, Christian's a good. It was great to have him back last week. He played really well for us, and having his speed on the field will help to defend some of that, hopefully.
How's the growth you've seen from Kalen Bullock this year?
Yeah, I know, and honestly, you guys probably laugh at us. I know D'Amico mentioned it. Like, one of the things we've tasked him on was tackling just his angles and some, we know what he is as a back end player, and his ball skills speak for themselves and stuff. But, that's it. You can't be one dimensional as a player in this league, as a safety in this league. And so, like, one of the things we tasked him with was being a better tackler or just an eraser, right? Things break out. You can't let runs turn into bigger plays or whatnot. And so I think he did a really good job last few weeks of sort of taking some of that to heart. And I think his tackling's been better. He's just becoming more of a multi-dimensional player for us. So everyone sees the big plays and the ball skills and all that. But I think he's just becoming a more complete player for us, which just, again, helps how you deploy him, helps kind of how you can disguise some things. Like, he's doing a really good job of just growing in his role and becoming a complete player.
How beneficial has it been to have Jimmy be able to take over the nickel spot in place of Jalen, especially now allowing guys like Eric and Kalen to get more reps in the back end?
Yeah, obviously we miss Jalen and what he brings, but let's say probably a luxury that maybe not a lot of teams have, to have a guy like Jimmy who can still be an elite level nickel in this league, being able to kind of plug in some of those roles for us. So for sure, like, very fortunate that Jimmy's been able to kind of fill some of those gaps for us. All right, man. See you out there.
Who hasn't been there? Let's go, man. Oh, this is why you do it right here. So we're going up against the best, and Dave. We'll start with their Chiefs special teams coach, Dave Tobe. He's been really the best return game coordinator, and since he's had Devin Hester. So their featured return, both in kick and punt, is so different. It's dynamic, and he tailors his game to his returners. So he's using 3 different kick returners. After losing Mecole Hardman, now they have. I love this guy, Nico Remijo from Fresno State. So this guy coming out a year ago and just got his opportunity and shot out of a cannon. So credit to Coach Tobe. They do things the right way, and it shows up. So they have showed up in the biggest moments, blocking a field goal to end the Denver game, those types of things. And, we're going into Arrowhead. It's going to be different, and it's going to be loud. We need to play really good field position football to shorten our field and give the Chiefs long field position.
The execution, the blocking, and the way Daria ran, just how many weeks went into making something like that happen?
Yeah, fakes don't happen, just specifically for 1 week at a time. You do practice. Some stuff carries over. You do practice those variations or tweaks relative to who you're playing against of each phase of each fake. But yeah, you use the word yourself, like execution. That was a really good moment. But to every single little detail on that play that's as good as we've ever executed a play. I think it shocked Dare at how much space he had in the NFL. Like, that doesn't happen. He was running with the ball. He said, put that ball tight. So that's a good thing, and mattered in a big moment. If we ever get a chance to go do something like that again, you want that type of execution.
What went into the decision to call that play?
Just opportunity, look, down distance, whatever we had scouted previously on how they play certain defenses, if you want to call it that, but punt return looks, midfield or 4th and short or possession time of game, that type of thing. So every coach has a different punt return, or people call it defensive stay or punt safe or whatever they may call it or we may call it. But so we look at those things and whether that's a green light or not.
What were your emotions? You're pretty animated on the sidelines. So you're making the call, the play happens, think it's a fumble, it's not a fumble. What was just kind of the emotional roller coaster you were on?
Yeah, you want that to be like an ultimate high, and then it kind of came. Oh, there's a screeching halt there for a second. So, yeah, that my stomach dropped out a little bit during when I saw the ball on the ground. But nonetheless, I think watching the way guys trying to jump on the ball, like, I mean, Dylan Horton was fighting until he stood up, like. In a wrestling match there, and the official was trying to break. So, like, guys are bought in. It's a good place to be right now.
Advantage having Tommy going into this week?
Yeah, I just wanted him to go play solid football. Extract whatever information he's willing to give us and things like that. But it's not rocket science. There's not something that he's going to tell us that are going to change the whole game. And, Tobe knows that. It's not going to be what we need. Good punts with good hang and direction, and we need to tackle better. Like, we were really disappointed. He flushed the biggest punt of the afternoon against Miami, and we ended up with a 42-yard net because we had bad leverage and bad tackling. So you can't do that when you're going against really good teams like Miami, like Kansas City. So we've got to make sure that when we hit a nice, consistent football, we got a great webbing and net, and we're playing off each other with our hair on fire, and we go sure that tackle up.
You seem excited to be playing.
Say it one more time.
You seem excited to be playing in Kansas City. Is there something special about Arrowhead?
Man, that's just football. That's as real as football. There's a handful of teams. There's a handful of teams in our league. Pittsburgh, Philly, Cleveland, KC, like Dallas. Like, those teams are a little bit different with their fan base and their atmosphere and when they're rolling. And I would say that they're at the top. So, yeah, but we get to go play football like in December with a chance to get to 10 wins. Like, that's a big deal. That's why.
Now that you've shown the fake, is it back to the drawing board to figure out a new one, or do you already have something cooked up in your mind?
Yeah, I think that, just playbooks are always playbooks. You got to keep it. That's a good question. But, every week we'll determine what we need. I'm a game plan person, so I don't roll out the same thing every single week across the board. I'm not you know, I move players per matchup for everything. So whatever we need to win this down, this punt, this kick return this week, that's how we operate.
Because with Tommy going back to Arrowhead and his familiarity with the wind direction and that, because that stadium poses a little bit different as opposed to some other stadium, is there something that you got in the back of your mind that you probably got coming up and make down this depending on game situation that you might try to
question. Yeah, good question, accurate question. I think we'll definitely use that to as much of our advantage, you know, and prep and pregame as we can, especially, you know, just familiarities, you know, that's a big, like you can't pay or coach for, or, you know, ask for experience. Well, Tommy has that. So nobody else on our unit has that. So he does. So we hopefully use that to our advantage, and him going in and knowing what type of punts we can hit when and where, type of kicks we can hit when and where. And, you know, I've said this before, but we ask our players questions all the time in the feedback loop to help us coach better. So that'll be good information for us.
Frank,
Frank, you've been with this team for a while. You've been through the adversity. What does it mean to just see the way that they've been playing these last 2 years? What was the change as far as, you know, winning AFC South, you know, titles back to back right there?
Yeah, I believe that it doesn't matter if you're just where you are, what your feet are. It doesn't matter whether you're 0-10, 10-0 at that point in time. Like, to me, football and the joy of it comes from Wednesday and Thursday when nobody's out there and it's just us grinding out there at practice. Like, that's awesome. You live for the big moment on Sunday at 1 or Sunday at noon, but the daily job doesn't change no matter where you're at. So if you got the right type of people, you grind through whatever the circumstance may be, it doesn't really matter. You know, we're so blessed to just coach and play football for a living. So when you get to reaping some rewards, there's always going to be, you know, something a little sweeter at the end. But, you know, to me, it's like, shoot, Kansas City this week. It's all that matters, and I'm excited for just that. So appreciate it. See you guys.